Good morning, Rabbi. The question arises, is a person required to have a Talit Katan on his body? What's a Talit Katan? Talit Katan is the four-corner garment that a person wears under a jacket or shirt, and since it has four corners, it's also obligated to have tzitzit on it. Tzitzit are the fringes that a person has to put according to the Torah. So the question is this an obligation according to Jewish law, or is it something which is a good thing to do, right? A positive custom, something which is beneficial, but not an obligation? The answer is, Rabbi, we find in Shulchan Aruch in Siman Yutet. It says over there that technically speaking, a person is only required to have a talit katan if he has a four-corner garment on his body. If he elects not to have a four-corner garment on his body, he's also not obligated to have a talit katan on his tzitzit on his body. So therefore, technically speaking, a person is not required to have talit katan on his body. If he opts not to do so, there's no sin there, right? There's no prohibition that he's transgressing. Nevertheless, Rabbi, it says in the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Yud Daled, in Chav Daled, it says over there that a person, even though he's not obligated to have a talit katan on his body, but it's considered to be a very, very proper and good thing to do. What's the reason why it's so proper and good? Because it says in the verse, right? What does that mean? That when you see the tzitzit and you're putting it on, it reminds you of doing the mitzvot. That's what it says, right, in the verse. So therefore, when a person, every time he puts on a tzitzit, every time he looks at the tzitzit, when he sees them, it reminds him of doing the mitzvot. So therefore, it keeps him away from all kinds of mundane thoughts. It makes him concentrate on doing the mitzvot. So therefore, it's considered to be a very positive thing to do because of that reason. There's also another reason, also very important, that the sages teach us that when a person fulfills the obligation of tzitzit, it's like he's weighed against doing all the mitzvot combined. So what does that mean? That it's considered to be a very, very great mitzvah, which is weighed against all the other mitzvot combined. It's considered to be something very fundamental and right and great, and something which is very, very positive and very powerful. So therefore, a person should try, it says the Shulchan Aruch, to wear tzitzit katan all day, right? What does that mean? That a person should put it on in the morning and wear it. The truth is, right, that nowadays the custom is not to make a blessing on it, though. Even though in the old days, right, from the Talmud, we find that a person should have to make a blessing when he puts on tzitzit katan. Nevertheless, now we're concerned that maybe the size is a little bit too small. What is the size of tzitzit katan? The minimum size is that it has to be 96 centimeters in length and 48 centimeters in width. If it doesn't have that size, it's considered to be not fulfilling your obligation. So therefore, a person cannot make a blessing. Since we're concerned that a person has a small talit katan, it's not big enough, the size may be a little bit too small, so therefore we tell people now, do not make a blessing on talit katan. So what do they do? How do they make a blessing? They make a blessing on a talit gadol. What does that mean? That when they go to the morning prayers and they put on talit gadol, they have in mind also with that blessing to exempt the talit katan as well. So they do one blessing which covers two things, two garments at the same time. The reason, as we said, right, that we do this, Rabbi, is because we don't want to make a bracha batala. We don't want to make a blessing in vain, just in case a talit katan may be a little bit too small, right? So therefore, we fulfill the obligation of talit katan with the talit gadol. The question is like this, right? What about if a person goes into the shower and now he comes out? This is already after he prayed the morning prayers, so now he has to put back the talit katan. So the question is, should he bless on it? Because why? Now he's not going to have to put talit gadol anymore. So maybe he has no choice. So the truth is, Rabbi, that the custom by many Jews is that even though they're not going to put talit gadol anymore, they already put it in the morning. Nevertheless, when they put talit katan now, if they're coming out of the shower or something similar, what they do is they don't bless. Why is that? Because since we're concerned about the size being too small, it may be not kosher. So therefore, if a person makes a blessing, it will be a blessing in vain. So the custom by many people is not to bless at all in any circumstance. The truth is, Rabbi, if a person wants to bless, he knows for sure that the talit katan that he owns is large enough, as we said, right? That the length and the width is large enough. If it has that size or more, so then a person, if he wants to bless, he certainly can, because according to the din of the Talmud, according to halacha of Talmud, a person has to bless on talit katan as well. So therefore, Rabbi, a person should try to wear talit katan. It's a very, very important mitzvah, as we mentioned. There's also stories brought down, all kinds of accounts that people have had accidents, car accidents, all kinds of things, and because they were wearing talit katan, that they claim that they were safe from all kinds of physical harm, because the talit katan protects a person. That Rabbi, that's also another thing. It also protects a person from spiritual mishaps. What does that mean? That a person shouldn't have bad thoughts, shouldn't have all kinds of negative things going on in his head, in his heart, all kinds of things like this. So tzitzit katan, the talit katan, has the power to protect a person, right, according to these accounts as we mentioned, from physical harm and also from spiritual harm. It's considered to be something very, very fundamental and vital. As we said, Rabbi, that when a person puts it on, also remembers all the mitzvot, and it's also weighed against all the mitzvot. So therefore, how can a person pass up such a great mitzvah like that? I remember when we were children, when we used to go to the yeshiva, so what they would do is they would check us in the morning, right? The kids, all the boys, they would check us if we had Talit Katan. If we didn't have Talit Katan, what they would do is they would call up the parents and they would say, oh, we're going to send your children home because you didn't put Talit Katan on. So once you put it on, you can bring them back, So they would make us do this in order to emphasize the importance of wearing Talit Katan. The truth is, Rabbi, that a person doesn't have to go that far. What does that mean? According to Shulchan Aruch says that since it's not really an obligation, technically speaking, to have Talit Katan, so if a person doesn't have it or for some reason can't have it on right now, there are all kinds of reasons why a person can't have it. So it says in Shulchan Aruch that a person should at least try to have it for the prayers. What does that mean? When he prays Shachrit and Mincha and also Arvit, why not? Even though it's night, they should try to have the Talit Katan on for all these prayers, at least that much of a time. But the truth is that a person who doesn't have some kind of circumstance where he can't wear Talit Katan, so he should try to wear one all day. And even also, according to the Kabbalah, even though a person is not obligated to have tzitzit at night, according to Rambam, nevertheless says the Arizal that a person should try to also sleep with the Talit Katan, right? That it's considered to be something which protects him during the time of sleep from all kinds of bad, harmful agents, harmful thoughts, all kinds of harmful mishaps, all kinds of things, right? The physical and spiritual. So therefore, a person should try to have Talit Katan on all the time. As we said, right, that when a person has no choice, sometimes he can't wear it, so then he can rely on the bare bones halacha, technical halacha, that a person is only required to have really, right, the Talit Katan, at least at the time of prayers. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, amen, chazak u'baruch.